That's right, we're here introducing Norman's latest acquisition, a BSA Lightning 650 1972 model. After jumping on, the first thing I find just a bit weird is the shape of the handlebars. I think they were styled for America, sort of chopper-esque. But the engine sounds beaut. Just listen to this. For an old-fashioned 180-degree twin, this bike is surprisingly smooth. This bike represents BSA's last gasp before they went out of business, and you can really see why. When you consider that the Honda 754 had been out for a number of years and the Kawasaki Z900 was just about to be launched, this bike looked very ancient in comparison. It has the old-fashioned right-hand gear lever, but it's one down and three up. So that takes a bit of brain rewiring. Norman's currently describing how he almost died getting here. A white van nearly took him out. The hazards of bike riding, I guess. Anyway, this bike starts very easily. It's not particularly high compression, so it's relatively easy to kick over once you give it a bit of a tickle. The engine's lovely and smooth, the gear changes are pretty slick, the clutch is fairly light, but we have to admit that it's not particularly powerful feeling. And there's really no comparison between it and the CB750 performance. And after all, that's what it's competing with now. However, very few people buy one of these classic bikes for its outright performance. That would be just silly. It really is still quite a pleasure to ride a bike like this on a backcountry road. Performance comes a very distant last place here. When you're enjoying the growl of the exhaust and the mechanical sound of the engine, this is a real machine. The sitting position is quite comfortable despite the weird bend on the bars. Like every other classic bike that Norman has owned, this bike handles quite nicely when it's ridden within its boundaries. Of course, it's not nearly as nice as the Africa Twin chase bike, but not everyone can be a real man. So I have to put up with new technology. I love the pure mechanicalness of these classic bikes, totally uncluttered. Riding the BSA just reminds you of the joy of the relationship between man and machine, rather than man and computer game, like the Africa Twin. You've got to love the sound of the idle of this bike. It seems everyone is getting into classic bikes these days. This is my mate Ian. He's in his twilight years just like us, and he's just returning to motorcycles, thus the L-plate. And he's purchased himself a lovely CX500 Honda. It's all looking good, mate. Nice and smooth on the corners, and the bike looks great. You already look like you've been riding for years, so looking forward to many more rides in the future. As usual, we're arriving at Jerry's Cafe for our morning coffee. Let's have one last look at this beaut machine. Thanks, Norman, for the opportunity of riding this lovely bike. I don't know why you trust me not to scratch it, but I really appreciate it. These are the bikes of my youth, and they really bring back fond memories of past years. It's wonderful that there are people like yourself, Norman, that preserve these beaut machines.